Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy. I go by I'd rather be in Florida on Discord, not Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
Thank you for joining another Infamous episode. Quick announcements. Sorry if you had any audio quality issues on the last episode. One of our hosts kept unplugging his microphone in the middle of the podcast. I'll let the people at home decide who that was, and we'll move on. As always, links in the show notes. Do we have any news? No news?
No news since last cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No, wait, with the restricted list, right?
Big news. Sorry.
Wait,
big news.
Didn't that happen before last cast? I thought
No. It happened on Friday on my way to the store.
Friday at fucking 12:30 in the afternoon.
That is.
Yeah, we talk about that.
I have it. Yes, I have it in front of me but I actually thought it was
news.
Hey, news.
Yeah. So we do have some news. It's really short and sweet. The restricted list has been updated to include one more new tactics card.
Oh, thank God they put fallback on there. They corrected their stupidity.
Fixed it.
Yeah.
Now the list is balanced again.
Yes, finally.
Okay, good.
Nope, just kidding. It's my Hellfire Club. The affiliation card that allows you to play the Hellfire affiliation is now restricted.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual importance of this change. Does this actually affect the Hellfire list?
Yes.
Okay. In how impactful do you think it is?
Minor.
Minor?
Super minor, in fact.
So I think the only thing it stops is people splashing Emma for a Hellfire Club like bait and switch.
So I'll be honest, I am strongly leaning towards running Hellfire Club at NashCon. And prior to this nerf, I probably would have run a dual affiliation, but this nerf is going to lead me towards not running a dual affiliation. And it's not a bait and switch, it's not a splash, but I really think that Hellfire and a different affiliation would have filled different roles that they can't do right now. So in that respect, I think it is the biggest nerf to including Hellfire in a list. How about that?
Yeah, I think it really only punishes people that were doing dual affiliation like you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the mono is still worse. It's just not noticeably worse.
Yeah.
Is the loss of, I'm guessing, because most people are running Brace for Impact right now, I'm seeing people are just hard duct taping it to everything. But is the loss of Indomitable, Patch Up, or Sacrifice that impactful that you would really say I can't do dual affiliation because I couldn't have Indomitable, Patch Up,
I think
Sacrifice
is pretty big because a lot of those lists were probably running a bunch of Steelers, and so being able to sack off of Black Cat is pretty big. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's not like they crucially needed it.
No, but the dual A-fill is what needed it. Like if I was going to run Hellfire A-Force, I think I would really want my 2 restricted in A-Force. And so to play A-Force down restricted is probably something I'm not willing to do while I'm bringing Hellfire.
Yeah. I think it's partially just the nature of the flaw of the way the restricted list interacts with list building, because in an attempt to nerf the strongest version of something, you also nerf all the weaker versions of it, which is just the way that the way they've decided to balance cards, just the way it works.
This feels kind of like the pseudo nerf that we've talked about before, and I know Brandon, you talked about it recently with the other tactics cards updates, where I don't know how much this actually affects the game, right? If you're thinking like the outcome of a game came down to me being able to play Brace and Indomitable with A-Force, right, for example, then you're just like, really? Is that really what did the whole game, or multiple games over the course of a tournament or a season for you? I feel like it's more of a psychological effect. People see my Hellfire there and go, oh, well, it's restricted. It's a nerf. We better... and they'll just avoid it because it has been nerfed, not because it actually is physically that nerfed.
As opposed to me, who's immediately grabbing it.
Yeah.
And there will be people like you, Aaron, that rush to it. Yeah.
It worked for Thanos for 6 months. He completely vanished out of the meta.
That's true.
When they announced they were restricting the cards, the stones. And then once people actually tried it, they were like, oh, wait, this is fine. And then they just ran it down people's throats.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, I'm trying to figure out what was the. So they thought Hellfire was overpowered, right? Is that the reason?
Clearly.
I think they needed to show on paper that it wasn't the strongest thing in the game. And because the problem with Hellfire, because it's open-ended, right? There's no affiliations.
They didn't stop any of that,
It's just
though.
objectively better as long as you can overcome the dead weight of Emma in your list. And she's not worthless. She's just not a great 4-pointer.
So, but that didn't change at all.
Right, but they restricted the card. So now, not only are you giving up a tactics card, you're giving up a restricted tactics card.
I mean, I
correct.
guess
You trade your second best card for your fifth best.
Yeah, which doesn't really amount to much.
It does not move the needle significantly.
Yeah. The problem, again, is still that the Apex best models in the game are all in one list. Like, that's definitely still a problem.
Yeah. I guess
so.
It's weird that they'll cut the nuts off several models that are crazy, but the thing that the problem is, they completely dodged it. It's like a fake.
No, if we're talking about like fairness of game balance, I think this is a joke compared to like what they've done to Malekith and CGR. And like, but meanwhile, the list that was actually winning at a super high rate is like basically barely touched.
So, are we all in unanimous agreement that we are? I guess I guess this is actually a better game state than it was before. If you're just looking at power level of Hellfire Club,
I would agree.
However, the fact that this was the route they chose to take, I find displeasing.
Yeah, I mean, so the problem is, the way I see it anyway, the problem with the Emma's list is that the like super meta models like Black Cat and people like that exist within the Hellfire Club list, which are where making it overpowered, are still there and still broken. It's the problem is, so they're like, the way we're going to balance that is by removing a restricted slot. Sure, the list is weaker now, but also every version of that list that wasn't the meta list is noticeably weaker. And so, like, did you actually do what you're trying to do? This seems like just, I guess, a lazy or just inefficient nerf that catches a lot of other stuff in the collateral damage.
I feel like in 6 months, maybe even a year, they're going to change this even further, or they just don't care at all. Like this doesn't do what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's definitely not future proofed. Like it's just Hellfire Club's always going to keep getting better because they're going to release better models.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Hellfire Club came out, the idea is, can you just make a tier list and run that? Why not? And yes, you can. And is that okay? It's not okay. We knew it was fucked up when it came out, and they didn't change anything.
Yeah, we talked about basically this exact thing happening when it got spoiled. I don't think Hellfire Club is even the best list or it's unbeatable. I just think it's, probably in the top tier of lists. And
it's just
the problem with it is the models in the list, not the list itself. The fact that Emma has an open leadership is not the problem. The problem is the models that she ends up taking shouldn't exist in the game.
It's about the least interesting thing you can do, in my opinion, when it comes to like building a list and trying to run the list. It's like it runs itself. The models put themselves in the list. And like, again, what was this trying to change? Like, it's not the strongest thing in the game. Web Warrior still exists.
Well, there's absolutely no question that the Hellfire Club list has taken a hit over the last 2 weeks. Like, that is 100% true because Rhino got slightly worse.
True.
Although mission objective getting banned, it probably pushes that to even, especially in Hellfire Club when he gets even more power. But all of the healing factor people that were getting played in there, like Logan and X23, are now down a notch because exceptional healing's gone. Deception's also gone. So a lot of the tools that list had available to it have been taken away, and then their leadership got restricted. And so all of that happened, but then on the flip side, like Web Warriors literally got better as opposed to getting nerfed. And so I think this is just Kingmaker Webs when it was fairly close before. I think Webs are just obviously the best list now. And I do think that the game is better having Hellfire knock down a peg. I just would have liked to seen them do it in a different way.
I really wish they'd have said, and granted, they don't communicate worth shit, but guys, we're working on a long-term fix for Hellfire. In the interim, we're going to restrict them. Like, that would make me happy, right? If they're like, we know we need to give Emma an affiliated list, or we need to tweak the leadership somehow. But they weren't ready to put those tweaks into place because they needed testing and thought and analysis. fine. That would be amazing. But instead, all we get is just this restricted list update.
Okay, so how about this? Let's just all thumbs up, thumbs down. Is the game better after the restricted change or worse? I say it's better.
It is undeniably better.
Better.
But
I think
it's bad.
It's better psychologically, but I agree with Aaron for
right.
Well, I think it's the opposite. I think it's better mechanically and worse psychologically.
Yeah, I think the change feels bad, but it is a good change.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I don't think mechanically it actually moves the needle very much. I think it's kind of like
sure. So it doesn't move it a lot, but it definitely moves it in the correct direction.
Yeah. It moves it in the correct direction. This reminds me exactly of the deception fix, right? Clearly they had a plan for deception, but they restricted it first, and everyone, including me, like very loudly as soon as it happened. I was like, this is so dumb. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, there's a reason why I really don't like this change. And I will, even if I say that maybe Hellfire Club should have been taken down a peg or it should go in this direction, I don't like this fix at all. Because it's counter to what they just spent an entire mini extravaganza talking about with their tactics cards changes, which is trying to make the tactics cards that characters take more influential and more part of the game, right? Like the characters that you take bring their tactics cards, and that's what you're playing with. And Emma's tactics card is my Hellfire Club. And so if they had said what Aaron suggested, and Aaron, I think that was perfectly clairvoyant, which was if they would have said, you know what, my Hellfire Club is one of these tactics cards we didn't get to touch in this fix, so we're going to restrict it. I would go, okay, I see what you're getting to there. But instead they don't. They just say it's restricted now, and it makes me go, well, what? Pick one, pick a lane, right? Like if you're going to have 4 non-character tactics cards in the whole game and they're all restricted, I guess fine. And if you're going to have all the rest of the cards in the game that are characters, great. But picking this one out clearly, which is an outlier, like Deception was, none of those points are wrong. I still go, this is not the way to do it. This is not the way to do it, and I don't appreciate it. That's my first instinct when I saw it.
How about this? Give me a scale on 1 to 10, 1 being the worst possible change they could have made involving this card, 10 being the best possible change. Where would you put this, Parker?
The best possible change they could have made. The worst possible change.
Any hypothetical you prefer. You don't have to explain it. Just like on a scale 1 to 10, the change they made versus the change they could have made, where would you put this?
I put this as a 2.
Wow, that's really bad.
Because it is the correct direction, but it's a terrible strategy and tactic. Both. It is the correct direction. I would put it as a 1 if it was not the correct direction. Also.
What if they, instead of restricting it, made it to where it doesn't take up one of your 5 slots? Like they made it like Convocation Leadership.
If they made it better?
That's the scale of, that's the scale I'm talking about. Like, so You're saying a 2. There's only a small margin they could have done worse than what they did.
Oh, okay. So if 5 is neutral, is that what you're trying to say? 5 is neutral.
Yes,
okay, I'm sorry. I thought, okay. So if 5 is neutral, this is a 6.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I agree. It is the worst possible nerf they could have done.
I give it a 7.
Oh.
So I think it's a little bit better than that. But it's not great, but again, we're moving in the right direction. And it wasn't awful. It was just not ideal.
Can we also talk about the timing? Because that
they should have
else.
either addressed it during Mini Extravaganza or just released the list a day earlier. Like
2 days.
It's 2 days earlier, whenever they were supposed to do it.
So Kenny is sitting there for a Friday tournament with his models, and he's playing a Hellfire Splash in Crims.
He literally left the house that morning for a tournament, and by the time he got to the game store, his list was illegal.
That is a fail. But ultimately, I think TOs can cover that. They could be like, okay, this is not in effect for this tournament, right? Because of people like Kenny. Like, who knows?
Well, the other thing, so the problem was it came out with the same update as the affiliation lists. So if we don't allow that update, Asgard lists aren't legal because the models in the boxes weren't affiliated yet.
Well, you could always just say...
Sure, we can make up our own rules, but then we're not playing MCP anymore.
Well, you're doing the best you can as a TO given the timing parameters you're working under.
But we shouldn't be in a situation where we have to disregard some of the updates to play the game in a functional way.
Well,
that is not a situation they should ever put the players in.
I don't know. Maybe this is wrong, but right now I'm looking at the banner restricted list, and it says this list update goes into effect 8/9, which is not the date.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, it says this list update goes into effect 8/9. Now, did it?
Okay.
If it said,
can no one read? God damn it! I asked specifically, and they said, "Yeah, it said effective today."
Well,
now,
the date of the date of the document was 7 or 8/5 or whatever it was,
and maybe it did say that, and they went back and added a new PDF. But as of today, it says 8/9. Right now, I'm looking at it. So,
okay, I take back everything I said.
So the tournament piece of it, you're absolutely right. Like, that sucks if that happens, but that didn't happen in this case. You guys just didn't read.
Well, I'll just tell Kenny that he played with 9 tactics cards for no reason.
I'm sure he'd really love to hear that. He's the kind of person that takes that kind of news really well.
In stride.
You know what you should do? You should tell him publicly on Discord. That way, he'll be able to express his really measured response.
I'd much rather tell him publicly in person. Yeah. That way I can see the rage.
I think you won't see rage. I think he'll give up instantly. I think he'll just be exasperated is the expression you'll get.
Yeah, so the document says 8/2/24.
Yeah, but
and that this list goes into effect 8/9/24. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Never mind. Bravo. Good job.
I just think that changes like this, when you have a huge event and you're doing changes, all of these should be very well thought out and for a very good reason. And I still don't get the change on that. Like, okay, it's restricted, whatever. I'm still shocked that we're still having restricted cards. Can we just get rid of those goddamn cards or do something? Like,
well, I don't think there's any reason to have 3 or 4 restricted cards. If you're gonna have a restricted list, I think it needs to be like 6 to 10
like
cards.
That whole thing is
else
just weird.
There's like
man.
no point. Like, the number of times I even consider running Indomitable is like 0 because it's restricted, and so the restricted list is really Brace, Patch Up, and Sacrifice, in my opinion. Like, unless you're playing something very specific,
Sentinels,
like Sentinels, or you're playing another like Dormammu. Like,
hey, I like my Indom, baby.
Then, but it's so specific. Like, Indom, I get that Indom would be in every 10 if it wasn't restricted, and I think that's a good change because there's some cards that would just be in every roster. Because guess what? I'm playing against Immortal Hulk. I need Indomitable. It's in every fucking list because you just might need it then. I'm playing against my opponent's bringing, do you know who I am? Guess what? I'm putting Indomitable in every game. You're like, like, it just makes the game less fun because it's now just like, this is just mathematically the best card in this matchup, so it's in every list. It's lame. But when you go around and then also ban 90% of the cards that are playable in every roster, I don't know what you were expecting to happen.
I didn't get to be part of the podcast when you guys talked about tactics cards, but I was amening hard for you, Jeremy, when you talked about how, like, every card that says stop what you're doing, you don't get to do it. Like, all those cards that say stop what you're doing, you don't get to do it. I hate, like, I would like it if those cards just disappeared. I'm with you. Just all the cards that interrupt you and stop you from throwing, or stop you from doing damage, or stop you from...
Yeah, when you go in for your big turn and your opponent plays 3 tactics cards and your turn was completely pointless.
Yeah.
You're like, this is so fun.
I think the game should either be full of Mother May I, where it's just a big Mother May I, or it should be everybody gets to do their thing if the dice work out and you played it correctly, right?
How about this? I simultaneously agree and disagree because I love those cards, like the Spider Tracker, Sacrifice, Brace. I love the tacticalness of those cards. The problem I have right now is the game is so fucking short, there's no opportunity for it to be a decision. It is just the first time they trigger, you use them. Because there's only actually 1.5 turns of combat in the game we currently play, because it ends so quickly. If it was a 6-turn game, and they have to decide when they're going to play Brace, that's a very important decision, or Spider Tracker. But when it turns out, I'm only going to make 1 charge the entire game because the game's going to be over. Well, then it doesn't matter anymore. It's just an every time card.
Not every game is that short.
It feels like a lot of them are.
Brandon, I am currently planning on using all my tactics cards by turn 2. If I still have them on turn 3, something weird has happened where my opponent just let me not use them.
Man, I still try to keep them for the end of the game.
I try and play them on turn 1.
Yeah, so turn 3.
Aaron, you hoard everything.
He does.
That's your favorite thing to do in every game.
Every game. He's a miser.
You're the king. You're the king of just in case.
There is this situation I feel because when people first start playing the game, usually what they'll do is they'll shake hands when the game is over. Then they'll look down and see that all 5 of their tactics cards are still available. They're like, maybe I should have used these.
Yeah.
And then there's the other thing that happens when I turn over my 5th card. I scoop them all up and I put them to the side, and it's like a mental note. I'm out of tactics cards, and I make a mental note of when it is in the game. I'm like, oh shit, it's still turn 2. This is probably bad. Like, I probably needed those later. And so then I play the game a lot more cagey once all my cards are gone, even though some of the cards didn't matter. It's like, oh no, I can't use Smash anymore. Time to be more cagey. And you're like, oh shit.
So I think the pinnacle emotional moment of any MCP game for me is on turn 5 when my opponent goes to throw something and then realizes I still have brace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never realized on turn 5 you have brace. I knew on turn 2 you had brace, and I've just been like, so instead of throwing the size 4, I'll throw the size 3, because it basically says you can't play brace. And if you can't throw the size 4, I'll just keep it there as a you can't play brace card. And and some people analyze every situation independently and decide if they need to play it, and I hate that. Some people just go, well, I'm waiting for the size 4. I'm like, cool, that will never happen, and I will just ignore the fact that you have brace the rest of the game.
Of this conversation, the part of it that I would like to see is 5 different ones in front of everybody instead of having the same 3 or 4 on every table. It just makes me crazy.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a really interesting idea. What if instead of 10 tactics cards, you brought a deck of 20, and at the start of the game, you drew 3 at random, and then every time you played one, you drew a new one at random to replace it?
Would be cool.
No.
I like it.
So that way you're trying to eat through your cards as quickly as possible.
What would he wouldn't auto get his brace. See, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to sit on his brace for an entire game.
There'd be no more scripted bullshit. Like, Advanced R&D wouldn't need to be banned, because there wouldn't be a turn 1 Advanced R&D plan.
The game would be
far
too
fucking
random.
Oh, look, this guy took damage. Let's hand out his power. Next card.
Brandon, if you did that, Aaron would have to hold on to 17 tactics cards for a whole game. And
the whole game.
Every single
he
game.
would just like, I can't play it with it.
But
wouldn't that be more
so
fun?
terrible.
You're like, no, I'm trying to use as many cards as possible, because if I get through like all 15 or whatever, I got to use more effects.
That's a horrible idea. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, though.
We're not into that.
I love it.
Okay.
I think you're just jelly.
No.
I don't know if I like that idea, but I am a big proponent of, play a card that has your affiliation or your character on it, and to do that. I think that'd be fun.
I'd like to just see him get rid of the banned and restricted list. Just gone. Just get rid of those cards. If they're too strong.
Those cards, yeah.
So you think that you need to ban everything on the restricted list and move on?
Move on.
Okay.
One of them's a healing card. We know it's not good for the fucking game. Be done with that.
No, healing cards are perfect for the game. That's where the game needs to be.
Shut the fuck up. Actually, Brace is a healing card too, essentially. So you have healing cards, then you have a sacrifice.
Brace is a healing card.
Yeah.
You and Aaron. Exceptional healing is a healing card. Grievous Wound stops it. You're like, no, it doesn't.
Grievous Wounds doesn't stop anything.
That's
can
correct.
we?
Grievous Wounds does 0
Yeah,
things.
that does nothing. But yeah. I don't think a card should be.
I've seen Heave Ho used more than Grievous Wounds.
I don't think that's true, because there for a minute, Grievous Wounds, it didn't work.
Sorry, when I say used, I mean successfully.
Okay, true enough.
I've seen a lot of one-hit attacks rolled with Grievous Wounds.
That's terrible.
Yeah. It's just a chance for fate just to shove one right up your ass.
Yeah.
Here's something that, and this is something, and this is the last time I'll bash AMG today.
Today.
This hour.
But this is a weird thing that I don't know why they do. It's clear the trajectory. The game started with a whole lot of generic cards, and we've been slowly weaned off generic cards, and now every release is packed full of character cards and affiliation cards, and we just don't see generic things anymore at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine with that, but I have to figure that out by myself. And we have listeners who like you went, Brandon, I don't know if this was on Discord or on the podcast, I can't remember, but you were talking about how depending upon when you came into the game, this whole tactics card thing could offend you differently because you were there for that history of the time that we like watched AMG change the game underneath us slowly without any transparency. We had to like be detectives.
I
to
wasn't
figure it
talking
out.
about Tactics cards specifically. I was more talking about just the flow of the game.
Right.
But
yeah, regardless,
it's a fair parallel.
Yeah. Regardless, is they
well, I can tell you why they're doing it.
Well,
specifically for Tactics cards, it's just easier to balance the game. Because we only have to worry about like 3 or 4 characters playing each card at most.
Sure.
It's just so much easier.
Right, as they expand the game, yes.
What is a bad card for Zemo might be an amazing card for Dormammu. Like, it just depends, right? Like, Smash.
Right.
I imagine they planned on bringing size 5 characters into the game when they printed Smash. But, dude, Smash came out in, like, Wave 1. And so at the time, they probably only had Dormammu on the horizon that they were currently playtesting, and maybe not even that yet. So you're only worried about balancing one model that can smash size 4s. Then the Sentinels come out, and they have rerolls and can boost their attacks on top of it. And they have, like, Directive 1 available, and it's just a lot harder to future-proof every card when every character can play every card.
And wouldn't it be cool if every year they had a chance to talk to the community and really like lay out their strategies about how they're going to change things? But they do. They have Mini Extravaganza, and they've had a version of it every year, and they don't say that. I just don't. I guess what I'm saying is,
someone who works in the business end of gaming, I think it's bad to show people behind the curtain too much. Like, you don't want that to, I don't know, because like, if I tell you I'm doing this to make my life easier, it just sounds bad. Like, some people might take it the wrong way. So I think you never want to say, oh, this is just a quality of life change for the devs.
There's a political way to say it. And maybe that's it. Maybe they just don't have any politicians that work for AMG. They literally don't have a staff member that can put together the wordsmithing necessary to say, as the game expands, we've found that generic cards make it very difficult to create new avenues for great gameplay.
Right, so that's all they had to say. Political jargon, right?
Yes.
Like, nobody wants to hear that.
But it would be it would be an acknowledgement of transparency, right? And the fact that they aren't transparent, and then they do things like, let's be frank, they were transparent. They posted online and they posted on their website that My Hellfire Club went up. But everybody's first like anger that I saw online was they were angry about the surprise of it. And I was like, well, it's not really a surprise. So why are we angry about the surprise? It's because I think we expect no transparency. We expect
that's a completely different conversation, I think, because I think everyone was right to be upset because we just had a fucking 3-day long video interview about Tactics cards.
Yes.
And you never once mentioned the fact that you're restricting one.
And that's what I mean.
That is a complete disconnect of communication as opposed to an attempt to be transparent. That's totally different.
I think these things are linked. I think
they're linked in because they're talking about communication and Tactics cards. That's why they're linked. But.
Right. What I'm saying is I wish I'm actually very okay with them constantly managing their game as it expands and gets bigger. In fact, I would much rather play a game in which that is happening. So in terms of what they've actually mechanically done to the game, I don't think AMG is taken terrible steps. Have there been, game balance issues? Sure, but they do make steps. I've never been that mad. I've never been that mad. But what I am always frustrated by is the fact that I have to be a sleuth to figure out their motives when they could let people know. And that just increases trust, right? Trust in a product. I don't
know. I find the political talk when they're like trying to sell me on shit just very patronizing. I'd rather them just tell me straight up what something is and what it isn't. And a lot of companies aren't willing to actually give you said information, so I've just settled for the fact I'm not going to get it.
And maybe that's it. Maybe they've been told. Maybe they've been advised. Don't tell anyone anything. Just post things as they change, because that's the best way to deal with it. Just do that, and maybe they're getting that advice. So,
I think it's definitely true that, especially in the last few years, game companies have gotten really in the weeds about trying to overmanage stuff. Like as an example, like 40K, they do a constant points update and then a rules update twice a year. And so every 3 months they'll do either points or rules. I don't think that's a tenable situation in a game where it takes a year to put an army on the table through assembly and painting.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about oh, well, they've updated the points of my army, so now I have to build completely new models and paint them to put this on the table. By the time I get there, the rules will have changed, and so the army won't do what it did when I started building it. I find that incredibly infuriating. So I think the update schedule that MCP is is actually very good. I think once to twice a year, doing a noticeable update, because there's usually an emergency update at some point in the year if something gets really out of whack, like CGR, and then doing the annual in the fall update that we just got, I think is good. I do wish they were a little more hands-on, or at least this is really the first year we didn't get what we wanted, which was like about a 20 character update. I just don't. The problem definitely with the My Hellfire Club is that they just didn't talk about it. Like, we just had the game balance interview, right, and they didn't talk about the game balance they actually implemented. Yeah. It was probably the most impactful change they made in the entire update. They didn't fucking talk about it.
Yeah. So that's one, and I think maybe it's a matter of staff. Like, maybe it's a matter of the information they're getting, and maybe they're being told by Disney. Maybe they're being told by
I doubt Disney cares if Hellfire Club was restricted.
I don't know who.
Somebody, yeah.
Or either they don't have a person maybe they have a person who's applying a pressure, or an entity that's applying a pressure, or they literally don't have a staff member who has the ability to write their way out of this paper bag. But I think it's whatever it is. It's
this year
they wouldn't have to.
More, yeah,
if they wouldn't have to perform this online, they could have put it in the Twitter post. I mean, agreed. A lot of game companies, whether it be video or physical, will make a patch
different information to be shared and different information to not be shared. So I think this year, based on the small amount of I watched, seemed more about them being excited about just how the game is developed and not actually interested in the meta as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, this felt a lot more like this is what we want to do with the game and not at all interested in what the community wants to do with the game.
And that was my last weird thing. When they say that, and they're really overt about that and covert about that, you get it subtly and you get it overtly, and then they restrict that My Hellfire Club, that makes me go, wait a minute. So you're really interested in making this game more flavorful, but you also notice that people are playing Hellfire Club and winning, and so you want to restrict. It's a weird, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing.
Aaron, this weird. It was Hellfire Club seeing an abnormal win percentage.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Do you know? Like, vague numbers?
Between 57 and 59%.
Okay. That's about where Webs were, too, weren't they?
It was Hellfire, Webs, and Wakanda. They were all significant outliers. Well, I am sure Wakanda will come down with advanced R&D, both in play rate and win rate. I would imagine Hellfire and Webs will stay elevated, even with the nerf to Hellfire.
So... maybe I'm wrong, but doesn't advanced R&D only help them do the trick a turn earlier? Because they still just get to do it on turn 2, right?
It's really hard because the trick is starting off within range 2 of someone and being able to power your team up and then disperse. Like, you're turning on Killmonger and Zemo to charge.
No, so I'm not round 2, turn 2.
Oh, yes. They could still do it turn... If you brought Wong, so now you have to bring Wong. And you're doing it a turn later, which is going to impact the extracts. You're going to be able. So the trick was you wanted to go up on extracts and tempo.
Yeah.
Now they can probably do tempo, but not extracts.
The tempo list is mostly gone. I think the list that was designed around winning on points is very nerfed. I think the attrition version of the list is less so nerfed, but it's still down a tick. I would expect over the next 3 months, Webs to take a lot of those percentage points from the other two lists.
I think Webs will stay about the same. I think they'll stay 58 or so.
I guess if you see an influx of Webs players, that will also bring the percentage down.
I know you said that they got better. I think they were about a push. They lost some stuff. They gained some stuff. It was.
What did they lose?
They also like playing no matter the cost.
That's fair. I think the other teams against them wanted no matter cost more than they did.
Again, I don't really want to go into a huge big discussion. And one of us is slightly right, slightly wrong.
Am I both slightly right and slightly wrong?
The future will tell us who's right and wrong, but one of us is not off by much. Let's put it that way.
Is it me?
Me?
All right, fine. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know how we even got to this point, but we were talking about
tactics cards.
You let Parker talk, and then he didn't stop for about an hour and a
Yeah.
half. That's how we got here.
Yeah.
I was very patient. I had rage. And I was really I held on to the rage because I was very disappointed by this.
And then you slept through the first 45 minutes of the podcast.
My rage. Actually, I had forgotten my rage. I had such intense rage. I did a good job of not acting on it.
Parker has the best rage. He walked in the room. He's like, "Wow, I have so much rage."
God damn!
I totally forgot about it until we
brought
all
this his rage.
Somebody said, somebody said, "Oh, there is news. It was the update happened on Friday," and I was like, "Oh yeah."
And then his hand started shaking.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Now, on the subject we've been talking about, I just want to make a point for 10 seconds. I think we've all kind of given AMG a lot of shit recently. I will say that I think their character and affiliated tactics cards over the past year and the ones that have been previewed are pretty fucking nice. So
Strength.
I really like looking forward to an MCP that has a lot of these tactics cards and not a lot of generic ones. So I'm going to give a kudos to AMG for tactics card design. Current tactics card design.
And cunning.
I'm going to throw this out there. Venomized is just fine then, huh?
I actually do think Venomized is just fine. Every time I see somebody play it, it's almost always the wrong choice, and then they lose the game a turn later. I'm like, yep, that was a horrible situation to play Venomized.
I don't think it is broken. No.
Well, that's a different.
I think it's potentially good, and it is definitely not good in every game or every list.
It is potentially super baller, but you have to play it the correct way.
And a lot of the times when I see it really game breaking, like your game against unnamed local player, I think that they had really poor target priority, and they just kept spreading damage around. And I was like, ooh, you really don't want to attack that person the whole time the game was going. And then you ended up healing 30 damage in 2 turns. I'm like, yeah, that's why. It's like, ugh, that did not look good. But the game was not away from him. I think there was times when he chose convenience of target over importance of target.
Sure.
And he did that too many times. But yeah. So let's get into it. We're moving into currently playing. This is all about Show Me Showdown. The show-meest of the showdowns. We had 36 player for the qualifier. That was a great turnout. Thanks to everybody for coming out. It's the largest we've had for Show Me. I think everybody had a good time. Except for Kenny, who was quite upset. I mean,
his superpower is
water is wet.
I had a really good time until the very last moment, but we'll get there.
The last
we'll get there. We'll get there.
That.
Jeremy, I think you'll love this. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to hold on to this nugget until the very end.
Okay, so
feed the rage.
Yeah.
We don't have time to do battle reports, but we will say if you want to shout out specific games, we're basically just say first round, give us 1 sentence overview of your game, and then a couple times if something really cool happened, you can talk about it. Jeremy, how were your games?
Oh man, my rounds were excellent.
Your rounds were excellent. No negative experiences
avatared
whatsoever.
through you guys, and you all failed me.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Parker, how was your round 1?
My round 1 was good. I played against a guy, and it was one of those things that I'm really glad you weren't next to the table for the very first 5 minutes of the match, because as soon as I was playing defenders and I was playing my all the 4s that do something whenever you try to attack me, and he goes, "Oh, Ronan, I don't think I've ever played against Ronan." I go, "Oh, okay," and I told him a little bit about him, and he goes, "Oh, cool." He goes, and I told him my 5 tactics cards, including the new ones, and he's like, "Oh, I don't think I've ever played against those." I was like, "Oh man, if Brandon was here, he would be so mad because I always seem to draw this poor guy."
Draw is
yeah. So
I wouldn't say lemmings, but just people that are excited to lose.
Yeah,
wow.
They just activated all my trap cards.
Fucking Carl used to do that same shit to me. We would go to War Machine qualifier, and there's 120 people in the tournament. And he's like, "How's your first round go?" I was like, "Oh, I played against last year's world champion, lost 23-22. How was your game?" He's like, "My opponent didn't know how forests work." I'm like, "Yeah, that checks out." It seems like we're really playing the same fucking game here, you piece of shit.
Yeah, we have some comments about that. We'll talk about it later.
He was not a total newbie. He just his meta was a little bit smaller, and so he just didn't get to see some of these lesser used stuff. And so My crowning achievement was I killed his Eye-Hulk during during Black Panther's activation. His Eye-Hulk used Siege of Darkness to kill Ronan, and Ronan bopped him back to kill him. And because he had already flipped him while he was judged, and so he only had like 3 health because I was doing and so he just walked into a bunch. He walked into a bunch of rakes, and it wasn't.
Ronan is actually good into Hulk.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So yeah, that was my first round. I won because he learned what defenders with all the attack back stuff does.
Cool. Aaron, how was your round 1?
I played against Seagar from Muse. This was like our 4th game in about a week span between Judgment and MCP. He played foes. I played the Shadowlands Daredevil list that you and I genned up last cast. Rerolls for days. And he decided to let me take all of the extracts to begin with, and then I proceeded to show why that was a bad idea.
He was like, joke's on you, you're not going to get any rerolls. And you're like, I don't need any, because I have 16 points.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll just turtle up, and look at that. Points went to me.
Yeah, trading points for rerolls is a rough situation to be in. All right, cool. Parker, in round 2, I believe you lost by 19 victory points. Is that correct?
Oh my god.
So, I wish I'm trying to find like the names of the players I was playing. I should have written.
It was
down.
The Omaha guy, Patrick.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah,
and he was he loves Sentinels.
He's a nice guy. Yeah,
he plays Sentinels a lot, and he really loves playing Sentinels. And so he told me at the start. I said, "So do you have like Sentinels and I think he had Sentinels and maybe like Cabal or something?" I said, "Nope, I just do Sentinels." I go, "Okay." And so I put down Hulk against Sentinels and defenders. So he played Sentinel Prime, regular Sentinel, and his Hulk. And so it was my Hulk with a bunch of defenders support, and I just had the ability to deal with his stuff, and he didn't have the ability to deal with mine as easily. So yeah, he
came up to me after your round and told me that he reported the points wrong.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was the points looked like a blowout. It actually wasn't that much of a blowout on the board.
Yeah.
But
yep. Aaron, how was your round 2?
It was great until you fucking repaired us.
What do you mean? The round broke. That's not my fault.
Pretty sure you own everything as a TO.
Okay. I own Longshanks, and my first official act is shutting it down. Have fun, everybody.
I got repaired into Kenny.
You got paired.
I got paired. Repaired into Kenny. Which is always a fucking pleasure on round 2.
It was gonna happen. You better get it out before lunch.
Before lunch.
Yeah.
Kenny was the top-rated Longshanks criminal player, and I was playing criminals, a different version. Good news is I was playing the better version. So he was playing Kingpin, and he got to experience firsthand what Namor can do, which is when combined with Zemo and Shadowlands. Like, he actually made me stop in like the middle of my second attack to be like, "You just picked up 4 dice."
Yeah.
Like, and one of them was a skull. I'm like, "Yep." Okay, reroll from here, reroll from here, reroll from here, reroll from here, and I can reroll a skull with leadership. And he's just like, okay. And then Namor shitting all over Bill and Rhino, turning off their DR. Yeah, Kingpin does not have a good day into Namor. So yeah, whereas I did not get to use the rerolls effectively in game 1 because I was just sitting on points and winning. Game 2, I used them to great effect, and ended up taking it down.
Yeah, I love that. Like, you do a Red Fury attack with Winter Soldier, and he's within range 1. So you get the Spetsnaz training, then you get leadership, then you get Namor, then you get Zemo.
Yep.
You're like, Jesus Christ!
It's 4 fucking rerolls, and then if he's backstopped,
you push them into somebody nearby, and it's a 4 die. Or he's got a hammer, so it's a 5 die attack with 4 rerolls, including a skull, and you're like, fuck.
Yep. Kenny was not happy.
Yeah. Or you push him anywhere, and then just like Hydra tactics over the top, and get him again. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So anyway, we took lunch break and went to round 3. Parker, how was your round 3?
So I got to play into Aaron. And I actually expected Aaron to play Kingpin that round. Not because I knew he was excited to play Daredevil and Namor, but I just kind of expected him to pivot to Kingpin because of the scenarios, but he didn't. He stuck with Daredevil. So I went with my Daredevil, and we decided a Daredevil would win, and a Daredevil did win by 1 point. It was a very, very close game.
I just want to point out that he did play Kingpin in that game.
He did. He even put it down. I was like, okay, so we might do Kingpin leadership, and then nope. It was a very, very, like all of our games, Aaron and I, it was a tete-a-tete, and we were really staring at it. I thought Aaron had the ability on turn 3. I thought he had the ability to run away and win, but since it was Senators specifically, there were enough points on the board that I could start scooping things up, and so he couldn't just run away. He also had to stand and fight some places, and I had enough things to beat him up.
Aaron, do you have anything to push back on? How much did he lie?
He didn't lie. The key point of the game was me losing my leader turn fucking 1. You should not do that if you want to win.
Ancient One was a star the whole tournament. She did work. I never played her before, and I was like, I want to put Ancient One down. In Convocation, I don't know how well she works, but man, in Defender, she feels good.
I think there's definitely a bit of a shock value for the meta not having eyes in it right now. Is a lot of people are experiencing the pain of turn 1 RNG that they have not experienced in many years.
Well, this was Senators. I was on my back Senator. Like, I was fine.
I know. I'm just saying in general,
but in general,
that
sure, yes.
feeling was not unique to your table.
Yep.
There was a lot of people like, how did I die to this random 4-die attack? You're like, dude, it happens. It's like, we've lived in a meta where no one attacks on the first turn for so long.
No, you're not wrong.
During that round, there was also a game that was quite perplexing. I walked over to a table, and it was Inhumans with CGR versus Guardians. And I started looking around the table, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I look around, I'm like, okay, well, Quicksilver's got 3 tokens on him. And then I start looking around the table, like, where's Quicksilver? He's got 3 tokens. It's like, this guy's going to be killing people with hammers. And I can't find him anywhere. I look back at his card, and he's on the card with 3 tokens. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I look over, and they're playing Legacy Virus. I'm like, oh, no!
Oh, my God.
So I look at the scoreboard, and it's like 9-15. I'm like, oh, God, because he scored the Legacy Virus.
Nice.
I start looking around the table more, and I'm like, so it's Wong and CGR versus like 5 people. And then I start looking around the table more, I'm like, oh, no, he's never going to score again, and he's at 15.
Oh, no!
because Wong was dazed at the time, and CGR was at 10 power, and I'm like, oh, no. So I sat there and watched 45 minutes of a game where one player couldn't score a single victory point. But then we started adding up the math, and the other player also couldn't get to 16 in the time remaining in the game.
Oh,
so
man.
it's just
gosh.
I have to table the CGR player or I lose.
Wow.
It was very weird. And so CGR's just running laps around the table trying to get away from Blade and Star-Lord and Rock. It was very weird.
Huh.
Anyway, it was one of the more interesting games I'd ever watched. Unfortunately, it was also the last game still going. And so it was like, we're waiting to start round 4 for this atrocity of a game to finish. And eventually, one of the players just clocked out looking for options. Because I don't know how to win the game. I was like, I know, there's no way to win. Anyway, round 4. Parker.
So I played against Vato Bob, who is also doing well with Defenders that day. And it was, we both kind of looked at each other's lists, and I was like, okay, I could go with my 4-pointers and all the responsive things. And he could, go with he didn't have any of that stuff, but he had, a collection of other Defenders. And so I think he's going to go with a different kind of thing. So I'm going to play Incredible Hulk with a supporting lineup. And he thought precisely the same thing. And so we mirror matched hard. The only difference is he brought Elektra and I brought Ancient One. Otherwise, they were identical lists featuring Incredible Hulk and Daredevil. And so because I had priority, it was really hard for me to win the game because he did a really good job of always giving me priority, and so his Hulk always went last and messed with my Hulk. He just played like super controlling Hulk. I could never seem to pin him down, and he won on points. Only by 1 point. We made it close. It was not nothing, but he had a couple key downs. His Elektra just went off on one turn, like turn 3. But yeah, so he won by 1 point, and I lost my first game.
Aaron.
I played into Chris, my 4th local of the tournament, and he was playing Professor X X-Men. This was the worst dicing of a game in a long, long time. He tried 3 overflips and succeeded on 0. I tried 3 and succeeded on 3, with it being Mutant Madmen.
Ooh.
So we had people on every single point, and somehow I was up 4-0 on the Madmen. Like it was not
I hate
good.
You.
There were he made some mistakes. Like it wasn't a pure dicing. He had too many people in the middle to begin with, and so not enough people on the sides. And so yeah, but all I did was he had one really crackback turn where he like dazed 4 out of my 5 models, but it didn't matter because he was shooting them, but unable to get to the points that I was still holding. So yeah, that was that. It ended up being like 18-4 or something. We took that one down to get to 3-1.
I need to point something out. None of your opponents live within 45 minutes of each other, and you're saying that I was gerrymandering you to play against only locals?
That is not what I said. I said...
That's what I am saying.
Oh, okay. So Gar was the only one who wasn't local. He's just a common opponent.
So Des Moines, St. Joe, Ottawa, and Shawnee were your 4 local opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are all pretty local.
Yeah, I think we're okay here. That's just 3 states in 3 rounds. No big deal. Anyway, moving on. Round 5. So I was very sleep deprived, but also not really paying attention. I did not realize Parker lost the previous round. Based on the way the body language was at the end of the game, I had assumed that he had won.
Yeah. Well, it was a really good game. But
Parker's always happy.
Going into round 5, I honestly was also really happy because I got to play Josh.
Your round 4 was a very good game,
yeah.
So obviously, you wouldn't have been sad when it was over.
Yeah, it was a really good game. We were back and forth the whole time. But in round 5, I got to play Josh. I always love playing Josh. He loves sticking it with his Asgard, and he's been waiting so patiently to play Asgard for so long with this new box. And so he showed me what Loki does. It wasn't very fun getting Loki'd. That being said, it was a bizarre game, like really strange. I was like just doing these big knockout punches. There's only 2 moments in the game that I have to say, and I know this is going to get long, but it was so weird. And I think Brandon, I don't even know if you know this story. During Loki's turn, Sabretooth attacked 3 times and killed himself. Would you like to know how that happened?
I think I know how.
Do you know how that could happen? How Sabretooth could attack 3 times during Loki's turn and then also kill himself? It's pretty awesome.
Tell us.
Okay. So I play Cover Me on Wong plays Cover Me because he's standing right next to Loki and I don't want Loki to automatically kill him. Sabretooth standing right next to Wong, so he immediately does his Spinder. Loki's Spinder is an AoE that pushes everybody away. So he immediately does 3 damage to Sabretooth, pushes him away, does 1 damage to Wong and pushes him away. At the end of that attack, I go, okay, I will now do Sabretooth's reaction. He will aggressive back towards Loki. I will then trigger Cover Me and use a Spinder to try to attack Loki. So I use his Spinder. I do damage, but I rolled a skull, so Loki spends a power to make me take my 4th damage for that turn. Then I get the finisher, do another attack, roll another skull, don't down Loki, even with the full reroll. So now I have taken 5 damage and I go, okay, and now I will spend 2 power to do my regular reaction attack into Loki. I do tons of damage, no skull, so I'm going to live on 1. He recals it to not only I roll 3 skulls, so he blocks everything because my skulls count as his blocks, and then he spends 1 more power and kills Sabretooth.
Good lord.
Loki lives, Sabretooth dies after doing 3 attacks with tons of rerolls laced inside. So you might go, okay, well that was just a terrible turn, right? Surely that was awful and no way to recover. Loki decides he's going to attack Wong to put him down. He misses the attack completely, just blanks out. From downtown, Ronan hits him with a power beam from his hammer and kills him. Loki's off the table. So, like, during Loki's turn, it was so bizarre.
Your entire turn.
So what you just told me was you played an illegal game state.
What's that?
That's actually not right. It wasn't illegal. Point of order. Loki's damage to Sabretooth should not have been applied after Sabretooth's finisher attack.
Ooh, Why
You're
not?
still resolving the effects of the first attack.
He should have double stack damage after your builder attack resultant from the finisher attack.
So the outcome would have been the same in this case, but
yes, in this case the outcome would have been the same. Yeah. But if you only had 1 health remaining, you finisher, he stacks a response but doesn't trigger it yet. You kill him with the builder, then he doesn't get to kill you, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So there is a world in which that order would make a significant difference. It did not in yours, though.
Really only if he was attacking with a single health, because he couldn't die before the second attack.
Yes.
I'll wrap up the end of the game really quick. You think that I would have lost with such shenanigans as that, but he killed Ghost Rider. I played Deal with the Devil on a full health Ronin, not a single damaged Ronin. Brought Ghost Rider back to life, and then Ghost Rider just cleaned up the whole game pretty much by himself with Daredevil's help, and I ended up winning because he ran out of he ran out of models. It was the most bizarre game I've ever played. Props to Josh.
Did you do the accuser when he died?
No, because it says enemy effects. I checked. He must die from enemy effects to trigger.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the only targets Ghost Rider had for Deal with the Devil was a full health Ronin or a backside Daredevil, and I was like, nah. Let's go ahead and just remove 14 health of Ronin from the board. So
never needed it.
Yeah. and that was worth it. That was the thing that needed to happen.
All right, Aaron, how was your round 5?
So round 5, I'm 3-1. I get paired up into the 4-0 bracket and play my 3rd invitational qualified player of the day. So yeah, thanks to you. Quentin,
I'm hearing a whole lot of just fucking crying.
Yep.
In this general.
Yep, absolutely.
If you don't want to play good players, don't go to a qualifier. Sorry, it's a Shark Tank.
No shit. So is Quentin, fresh off of his Adepticon win with Webs. And he was, shocker, playing Webs for this one. Ended up getting Intrusion's Hammers, which was really good for me. He picked his reds and my blues. I ended up re-rolling the shit out of him and taking down a very close game. The highlight was Daredevil throwing 2 batons to kill a Shang-Chi from full health to dead.
Oh my god.
Mainly because I had a hammer, so it was 5 dice, but it was also re-roll 3 every time.
He was also out of martial arts.
And out of martial arts, so yes. Like I said, the list that we came up with and that you pushed me towards was extremely effective when, almost all tournament, right? The only lost was a super squeaker to Parker.
There was a lot of stuff that could have changed your 5th round. Like I actually watched a decent amount of that. That definitely could have gone either way.
Yep.
There was a lot of very close rounds where it's like someone dies exactly or lives on 1. I remember he activated ASM on a turn that you had 3 characters at 1 hit point, all in range 1 of ASM, and it was like, well, this is gonna be interesting.
His ASM was staggered, and I still have Brace, and that saved me.
Right. Exactly. Well, without Brace, the momentum would have killed everyone, right?
Yep. Momentum would have killed people.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I remember there was a turn where Miles could have tried to kill Namor or just run away with the extract. It was crazy back and forth. Yep. I also thought Shang-Chi, doesn't he get to push people towards him when they attack him?
He throws people if they don't deal damage.
If they don't deal damage, okay.
And they have to be within range 2. I think that's all I know.
Okay.
I have yet to actually put him on the table.
Yeah, he's very weird.
Yeah, there were weird dice from I think both of us. Again, Quentin had some attacks that could have gone a lot better for him. Like I went to ASM needing to do 1 damage on an entire attack and did like 0. Anyway, without going through all the details, it was a good game.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's been a while since we've had like all the different metas come all down at the same time. So that was very cool. Saw some new faces as well.
So Jeremy, you might be wondering, with a really fun, game like my last game, how could I have had a really bad end to the tournament? Well, let me explain. You may have heard earlier that the person that I beat was Aaron, one of our podcast members. in a really close game. One of the only close games he had all day, but I did manage to beat him in a game, which normally would mean that he couldn't place higher than me in final standings.
I was really confused what the fuck
Yet
he was talking
somehow, when Brandon is announcing it, I look down at my phone because I'm curious, and I go, "Oh, I got 4th place to Aaron's 3rd place again."
Nice.
What?
I mean, I know I've talked a lot of shit on Longshanks over the years. I do want to give it props. It really knows how to order those people at the end. It's really good at that. I think it always puts the right people in the right spot, which is why I placed above Aaron at WTC.
I was so instantly incensed. It was
now you know what it's like for Kenny just to live 1 minute in Kenny's brain.
And that's the other thing is apparently as soon as I said that, Kenny looks up and goes, "I know," from like across the room, and I'm like, now I understand why you're always so frustrated by this.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out, congrats to Skylar, one of the Kansas City locals that got the number 1. We also have Vato Bob from Omaha, then Aaron, Parker, and Quinton, all regulars. And then we've got Landon from Omaha, Casson, one of our locals, and Kenny. So, decent spread. This is a good job, everybody. Our top 8 factions were Asgard, Defenders, Criminals, Defenders, Webs, Asgard, Guardians, Criminals. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think the number of... we have to come up with a term, by the way, for the medium-based long movers. We need a term for those people.
Okay, we're taking suggestions on the Discord. Let us know.
Yeah, if you have a good idea. Right now, should we call them quick boys?
No.
I don't know what it is, but we need a term for them. Because those people were fucking everywhere. And everyone knew they would be, right? Like the ASMs, the Namors, the Angelas. All those people that can get to the middle and get back they were such a high rate of play. But yeah, anyway.
It was a really good tournament. You did a very good job.
Yeah, Aaron, you did a very good job.
Oh, thanks.
No, Aaron doesn't need another 3rd place to my 4th place. He has so many.
All right, let's take a look here. What was the deciding factor? Oh, he definitely beat you in Sauce. He had 0.12 better than you.
That's because I played 3 people and ended up 4-1.
Yeah. What? Played 3 people, got 4-1.
Right. Quentin, Parker, and Kenny all finished 4-1.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Strength of schedule.
You played a lot of good players. Like everyone you played, I think, pretty much ended up in like the top 10. But yeah,
I understand how it happened, but it's still greatly unjust.
I think it's the best.
Yeah, clean. All right. I was going to talk about my list, but I don't know that I actually wrote it down. Trying to remember. No, but it's on my board at the store. That's why I hate, ever since Crit Wild's been gone, I don't really record my lists anymore. I just physically record them by getting the stuff out. But I've started using Jarvis a little bit, so I'll probably get back to it. I just really dislike Cerebro's user interface. I don't know what it is. I think it's a good app, but I just don't like using it. Jarvis was the same way for a long time, too. I quit using Jarvis because I hated the UI. But anyway, I basically just threw together a casual Brotherhood list because I just want to play Magneto and not care about anything. So that's basically the plan. I put in Rhino because Rhino seems fun with all the train breaking. But it's really the core of the list is Magneto and Apex, and then just slam in whoever fits, really. I did put in Pyro and Quicksilver, but I ended up cutting Can I Borrow That? So I'll probably end up taking Quicksilver out of the list, I expect. I was just worried that I would need somebody that's fast, and so I put him in. Just other than that, just the standard people. I got Rogue. I think Psylocke was the other one I put in, because I thought I would need a Mystic Attacker.
I will say I think having a Mystic Attacker is extremely important in the meta.
Yeah, I agree.
I think defenders are going to be super relevant, and for both webs and defenders.
Why defenders?
Daredevil.
Oh, just to get through the martial arts?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I have the throws for that, though.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I also like Psylocke. I thought she was Brotherhood. I actually had to look it up because it's been so long since I played Brotherhood. I thought she was. Sad.
Are you trying to do anything specific with the list?
No, I want to play I'm just going to play my standard bricky style, Magneto list that I love playing and just lose all my games.
Okay.
It's going to be fun.
I don't think you lose all your games.
Probably not all.
Is there absolutely no reason to play Scarlet Witch? Because she's a strong mystic attacker who gets good with Magneto, or better with Magneto, I suppose.
Oh, that was the secret sauce I put in. So I love Scarlet Witch. I just don't think she's aged well, and so I don't know. You can I don't think you can play both Scarlet Witch and Magneto, and she's a poor example of what Magneto can be. So I don't know. You kind of have to bring a babysitter for both of them to get them up the board, and so I decided to bring Heimdall, which I know I'm going to get some pushback on, but I like Heimdall, so I want to put him on the table.
I suppose what I'm thinking is if they're kind of like with when you're playing A-Force, if you have two characters that people feel like they have to remove, right? Like if it's Magneto, people feel like they got to remove him, and Scarlet Witch, people feel like
it's not so much
her.
that they have to remove them; they can just walk away from them.
Yeah,
like they're just so static.
You're not wrong.
I think if they were redesigning Magneto now, he would have the spend 2, place 2 thing that a lot of the elite models have. But unfortunately, we don't live in that world. Yeah, you're kind of at the mercy of the one turn you're going to play Asteroid M, and you got to make that count. I think the list is still very good if you can get a centralized mission. I just think there's so many people not playing that. However, I think with the increase of Asgard coming into the meta and Defenders, that will be a lot more likely to happen. And so that's kind of why I'm jumping on it now. I'm hoping that the excitement to play the new stuff. And I think also Namor is potentially possibly weak to Magneto, because Magneto can get him dead if he gets a hold of him. And so, like Aaron was saying, is the problem with Namor is he's kind of got to hang out after he attacks. If that's the case, I can, get him dead with Namor, and I can more than likely get Prio against him. And so I think those are two important things if you're trying to chase that guy down.
He's definitely an alpha striker.
Greased up naked people I don't like, so he's got to get rid of them.
He does the Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah. He's over there just rubbing himself down. You're like, whoa, dude, calm down. Put some fucking clothes on. Yeah, we'll see. Mostly I'm just trying to turn my brain off and enjoy the game and not get too stressed out over what's competitive.
Cool.
Yeah, I was kind of sad that nobody was at the store on Monday for MCP, but I know that was unlikely to happen.
I will be there tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get some games in.
I will be there tomorrow as well.
Liar.
Nah, I will. Maybe. Unless something happens.
He'll message us at 11 p.m. like baseball.
It's like my.
I love how quickly you back off. It's perfect.
I have to. I can't give him. No, forget it. I'll be there unless I'm not.
You can't risk actually telling a lie because they'll never live it down.
It's true. Turns out there's people who work in movie theaters and care about other things. Dude, it's not my fault.
Jeremy, you need to tell us more stories about your interactions with employees at various locations, so we can find out just this whole time you've been just a nightmare of a person.
I wish I had more exciting stories, but I don't. Like, I'm actually pretty good when it comes to the public, and I just wait.
I thought you were going to launch into a Tyrion speech. Like, I wish you were this monster you thought I was.
Yeah, exactly. No, usually I'm like the most I don't care. Like, I don't care about things that much, but it just happened, that incident at the movie theater. It was my family and a thing that I had promised, and I didn't even want to be there in the first place. It was a fucking disaster.
It was a perfect storm. You had a perfect storm is what you had.
It was a twister, if you will. With an S. Twisters.
So, did you actually watch all of the movie? Okay. Was it good?
Is it worth going to the movie theater and seeing? No.
No. Just was the movie enjoyable? Because I remember Twisters.
If you liked the first one,
pretty
sure.
Well.
And I mean, honestly, the movie is the first one for the first half, and you're like,
I figure it's just a remake, basically. One of those, like, let's just do it for another generation.
But the second half of it, I was actually, like, entertained with things that were different. So, the first half is almost
once you cooled off.
Yeah. It's...
I mean, nobody was there fanning you the whole time, so, like, could you really even enjoy it?
I even had to, like, sit apart from my kids because the movie theater was so full. It just... again, it was a lot of things that got me worked up.
Okay. He was hot.
Got hot.
Sherry came in hot. Oh, man. All right. So is anybody else currently playing anything of note? I'm trying my new Brotherhood stuff. Parker, what are you playing right now? Still Defenders?
Actually, I think I'm going to pick up Black Order.
Okay, we're done with that. Jeremy, what are you doing?
Why? Why is that? Why is that a poo-poo?
What you said? What you had to say? We're just moving on.
Okay.
Natural pacing.
What's funny is I've been playing.
Natural pace.
Natural pace.
That was. Can we put that on a T-shirt? Natural pacing.
Oh, God.
Natural pace.
Jesus Christ.
But all I gotta type it.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I've been playing Inhumans, but I haven't been playing regularly enough to like remember all the things that are going on. In the last few games I've played, I don't think I've used leadership more than once. Like at the end when I'm like, oh yeah, I can pass a power. Oh, this is pretty good.
Who is your? Oh, because you're playing Inhumans.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
That brings up another point. Of Aaron. Aaron played in the warm-up tournament on Friday, and I counted 4 consecutive times he paid for Master Swordsman on Zemo and didn't use the effects.
That does not surprise me.
It's overrated. It's just it's so ingrained. It's like, yeah, his builder just costs 2. And he just spends 2 cents Master Swordsman, rolls the dice, does the leadership reroll, and then he's like, 3. And I was like, am I crazy? Is he attacking Black Cat and forgot? And I look at this, no, he's attacking somebody else. And I'm watch him again. He's like, Master Swordsman, roll, 3 hits. And I'm like, he didn't do it again. So I watched 2 more times he did it. And then the 4th time, he maxed out naturally. And so it didn't matter, but he still didn't reroll it.
I will tell you that.
Because you should always do the whole rerolls first. And so, when he didn't do that.
And you said it was 4 times you saw him do that?
4 times. I assume it was more than that, but that was when I caught it.
I will say this, but then between the 2 of us, we've seen 5 times, because he did the same thing to me in our game.
Yeah, there was times I'm like, are you not and then I'm like, well, I don't think he wants me to tell him because it's an actual tournament. And I was like, and I shouldn't tell him. And then we wait till the end of the game. I'm like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's always such a treat to be trounced, and then he goes, I forgot my leadership the whole game.
Oh,
you're like, you fucking douche.
Yeah. Well, that's just par for the course for Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron's played so many leaderless games,
That's true.
It's uncountable.
He's also played.
How
so
many times did you play
games.
Sam? You played Sam 4 games in a row before you remembered he has the leadership.
Honestly, I don't think Aaron should really ever talk about leaderships or tactics cards because he doesn't play either of them.
He only threatens them. That's the part.
He's saving the leadership for the best time to use it.
Don't let your opponent get.
All right, Aaron.
God.
I want give me the deep dive into the stealing Namor. Like how good of a criminal is he?
Good of a criminal? You mean with the
list? Yeah, how was the list?
The list was I'm gonna give it a solid B+ grade. Yeah, when you're re-rolling 3 on every attack roll and 4 if you have an innate one, if you're able to keep your team bunched up, yeah. What it really did was take your spikes and take them to the next level. Like against Kenny, when I have a 3 out of 7 on a spender, I'm like, well, that's not great. Well, one of those was a crit. Oh, that'll convert. Now I'm 4 of 7, and I'll do 3 rerolls, and I'll convert 2 of those, and all of a sudden I'm looking at 6. So when you start off at 3 and you end up at 6,
double hits is good.
It's pretty demoralizing for your opponent. Yeah. To be like, I'm taking 1, I'm taking 4, holy shit.
Yeah, and it makes the spikes even worse, because you're hitting 7 on 5, right? Because if you get any crits, it's deadly.
Yep.
Rerolling the skull is super key, too. Getting the leadership rerolling the skull is definitely relevant.
Yep, and then choosing when you reroll the skull. So if you don't have a skull on the initial one, but you use Namor's for 1, and then it flips into a skull, then you use the leadership. So that's super interesting. I think there's some game into what I might term the Loki meta. Rolling skulls is bad. What if you could reroll out of them? It seems really good. The reason it's a B+ and not an A is because I still think that Shell is better in probably both Defenders and Red Skull 3 Cabal.
So my next question was, is there any way you think we could make it better in Criminals before we start talking about other stuff?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
We'd have to take a look at maybe taking out Kingpin, Rhino, Black Cat. I did not play Rhino at all the entire 5 games. I played Killmonger in 2 of them, and he was an absolute monster. Namor, Zemo, Black Cat, Kingpin, and Shadowlands were all played at various times and to good effect.
So you did like the scenario package that we dropped in there?
I never played it.
You had the opportunity to at least consider it a couple times.
I did. I also never got put on a D.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not sure what else to say about it.
Yeah, so Killmonger was a pleasant surprise.
Yep.
Rhino was less inspiring, at least because of the fact you were never, decided to play him.
Yep.
I find that surprising, just because he's so great at positioning himself all the time, and also being a good terrain thrower.
Well, so a lot of my games were at 19 points, which if you start off with Daredevil, Namor, Zemo is 12, so you have 7 points to go. So you get 1, 4, and a 3. And for the first 2 games, I chose Killmonger as my 4 because I wanted someone who was going to use the rerolls super effectively, and he did. Like I said, he was an absolute boss.
He's also bringing his own rerolls potentially too.
Yep.
So
No, I got. It was pretty. I got up to 2 kill counts plus 3 rerolls. It was
the
insane.
Fucking 9 dice spenders. That's a problem. 9 dice spenders with 6 rerolls, and you're like, fuck.
And as much as Rhino gives you the the stealing aspect, the 2 victory points from Usurp the Throne is at least as good. I'm
not thinking about the stealing hardly at all with Rhino. It's mostly just like the high tempo.
The biggest negative to the list is complete lack of terrain throws.
Yeah.
So having someone in there that can throw terrain, whether it's Kingpin or Rhino, is not
character that could throw terrain.
I don't care about character throws. We are just all out murder. It murdered people really, really well.
Well, throwing people that are large is good.
Sure, it never is.
So it's just interesting that you were playing Criminals, and in 3 straight games, you chose to not play Rhino over a different 4-point affiliate model.
5 straight games.
5 straight games. So you played a 4-point Criminal in every game that wasn't Daredevil, and you never took Rhino?
I'd have to go back through every game
because you said you did 2 Killmongers. I saw you do a Kingpin.
Yep. But again, it's on intrusions. I need someone who's going to live, and between Kingpin and Rhino, I would much rather have Kingpin.
I'm not questioning the choice. I'm just talking.
Sure, I'm just explaining the choice for not you. I don't remember. I'd have to go through the games to check point totals.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, obviously, I think the Defenders Namor option is silly. I think that's going to be a really popular list moving forward. Especially like Shang-Chi and Namor both being Defenders affiliated is going to be pretty toxic, I think.
I actually think the Red Skull 3 version is the best. Like, that list scares the ever-loving shit out of me.
Yeah.
With or without Thanos.
Down, right? It just puts things down. It just puts things down so hard, right?
Yeah, the spikes are crazy.
Yeah. So I'll give my thoughts on the current meta that are probably a super hot take because I haven't really engaged with TTS and stuff other than local. But I really think that the last 3 weeks of releases have redefined MCP.
I totally agree with that.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but if you do not have a plan for how to deal with Namor Zemo, you're just going to get obliterated off the face of the earth. If you don't have a plan for how you're going to attack Asgard, you're just going to die to the pity damage Loki puts out. Mm-hmm. Webs are still in the mix. So how do you deal with those 3 types of teams and have an effective plan to deal with each of them? I
think Red Skull's just going to run Asgard out of the meta. I think Red Skull 3's leadership is amazing into Loki, and their models can't really survive giant chunk spikes like that. And then the fact that it also erases his counter damage most of the time, I think it's just a really bad matchup for Loki, and he's going to have a problem dealing with that.
That's where I need some reps, because
you gotta see it.
You can only turn 1 skull into a crit, right?
Right.
So how many times are you just rolling 1 skull versus 2?
Sure. Obviously, yeah. But I mean, what if I just told you the first skull in every roll doesn't count? That's clearly good.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
It's dropping the percentage of damage you're taking by probably 60%. And then also that's directly dealing damage to them. Like, I'm just reversing it instead. When I roll skull, I take damage. When I roll skull, you take a damage. Like, that's hugely impactful to the whole mechanic system of that. Yep. Those two interactions. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to work, but it seems really bad. It seems like a direct counter, kind of like the Malekith versus Sam leadership. They're like the same mechanic and mirrored, and one of them just completely countered the other. So I think it's going to be similar to that. Probably not as bad.
Now, Asgard also has multiple leaders, so if Loki is quote unquote hard countered by Original 3, which I'm not convinced on, but I understand your logic.
No, I don't think anyone's going to be playing Old Thor with Mighty Thor
still
out.
Good.
You
don't think anyone's going to play him at all?
I don't think they're going to put him in, no. But I could be wrong. Again, it totally depends. But the reason I just picked up the Asgard box, because I want to play Mighty Thor. And so I think there will be people running that list where it's just efficient models with a good leadership.
You mean Thor 2 or Mighty Thor?
Mighty Thor.
Okay.
Mighty Thor's leadership is the storm.
Yeah. But I think Thor 1 is good under Mighty Thor. So I think you can play Mighty Thor.
Oh, I agree. Thor 1. But I think the general consensus is going to be you want to magnify that leadership as many times. And so you see a lot of efficient 3-pointers.
Sure.
Which the Asgard now has. But yeah, I think it's going to be hard to fit it all because I think the Loki list is playing very different models than the Mighty Thor list.
They're both, the Loki list is pretty tall. So I'm willing to bet you can find a 10 that's going to work pretty easily.
You could definitely build a roster that you could play a Mighty Thor leadership in. I'm just saying I don't know that it will be the same models. Because after you get out of like the cheap, efficient Asgard models, which is few and far between, you're going to want to be jamming in other models to take advantage of the leadership.
Yeah.
Like Zemo. And that's not what Loki wants.
Correct.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, though. It's fun that Asgard now has choices and not just run the same generic crap at you. But yeah, I'm excited. I bought the models. This first MCP models I bought in a while.
Cool.
Although I need to buy Gwenom still.
I'll tell you, in the game, even though Loki was scary in the one game I played against it, the model I was most impressed by was Mighty Thor. I thought she had, even though he wasn't playing the leadership, I felt like she had tons of tools to control while she was damaging and tons of mobility. She always had the power she needed.
So she feels like the Core Set 2.0 version of Thor.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, this is just a reimagining of the old model. Like, this is what it would have been if it came out today.
Yeah. It just, she felt super valuable all the time.
Aaron, do you think there's any chance that Face Me got banned because of my Gwenom super play that we talked about on the podcast?
I think you are directly responsible for it. Yes, I do.
Directly responsible. She needs 7 actions. It's the only way. Alrighty. I think this was a fun meta discussion. Glad we did this. Anybody have any other final points? Cool. I guess I'll just close it up by saying I think Aaron's right. They have just redefined what the MCP meta is with the last 3 releases. And the next one's probably going to shake it up even more because I think it's Apocalypse, right? September.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll get to see.
Yeah,
be exciting.
They're really spinning the top, and it hasn't slowed down.
I am personally not very excited, but I don't like the new models, and so I guess we'll see if that changes. I haven't played with or against any of them yet. But yeah, Parker, do you want to do a comic corner?
Oh, I can do a comic corner. Let me talk about something exciting that just happened. It is the Fall of the House of X and the Rise of the Powers of X. So it is the bookend to the Krakoan age of X-Men, written by Gary Dugan, a prolific writer for Marvel. He has his hands in so many titles. He's like simultaneously writing Invincible Iron Man, Uncanny Avengers, X-Men, and then of course the titles, the Fall and Rise of House. He's very busy guy. He manages the entire. This is
a big deal, right?
Age. Yeah, it's a big deal.
The end of the Krakoan age is a big deal, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just set it up a little bit for you, and no spoilers. It's quite the saga, so you can enjoy it. Much like the start of the Krakoan age, it felt epic, and it is a very good job of bringing Jonathan Hickman's story that he started to a very, very strong close. So we've talked a little bit about other comic corners, but Orcus is in power. knocked out a huge chunk of mutants, sent them away into what's called the White Hot Room, which is basically a plane of existence where the Phoenix actually comes from. And so a bunch of mutants are there. Cyclops is incarcerated, and he's going to be like kind of the scapegoat for all of the anti-mutant hysteria Orcus is fermenting. Professor X is loose and mad because he was a pawn in this game that Orcus has been playing. And Jean Grey is dead, but of course she always goes back to the White Hot Room. So where is she in the White Hot Room? Are the mutants in the White Hot Room like Hope and Exodus going to be able to find her? And then, of course, the big reveal that's been going on this entire time, Mr. Sinister, who we found out in the Sins of Sinister, has been trying to attain Dominionhood, which is a cool sci-fi term, basically the idea that above all intelligences, there must be an intelligence that understands all of space and time, right? If something understands this much, then there's something that understands this much, and then this much, and this much. Mm-hmm. And as the sphere of understanding gets bigger, eventually you would understand everything, and time and space would have no meaning to you. That would be what some science fiction writers call Dominionhood. So that's what Mr. Sinister has been trying to achieve this whole time. In the fall of the House of X and the rise of the powers of X, we discover why he couldn't, because in the Sins of Sinister, he is foiled and he can't get there. And it's a very interesting reason why. So not only are the mutants working against Orcus, but they're also trying to solve the mystery of why Mr. Sinister couldn't achieve Dominionhood. And Mr. Sinister is one of those characters actually now helping. I'm helping! And of course nobody trusts him and everybody wants to kill him because he's a terrible, terrible mutant. But all of these players are moving through this convoluted game, including the Avengers and Tony Stark, who's involved himself, specifically him, he's involved himself with the mutant resistance. So all these things come to a head, and there's the final confrontation between the mutants, the humans, and this mysterious entity that's attempting Dominionhood. It's a really great meeting of a bunch of different storylines. He does it justice. It feels really good. I don't think I've ended such a long saga of beginning with Jonathan Hickman's The Krakoan Age. It was just such a satisfied sigh. I was just like, that was good. People got what they deserved. Mutants got what they deserved. Aliens got what they deserved. It works. Really, really good. So if you have touched any of the House of Krakoa stuff, if you just like X-Men in general and mutant stuff in general, Gary Dugan does it right, and I recommend it to anybody.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Aaron.
And you just listened to Parker Sleeps Through Another Episode.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Yeah, we did it.
This time, I did it.
Whoa! What was that voice I heard?
Also, I did it also.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes?
I just want to let you know.
Yep.
I'm proud of you.
Why?
Not everyone can show up to 1 in 4 podcasts in a 6-month period, but
I'm a director, so I don't have to do any work. Do you understand?
if they hired people to hold stools down to make sure they didn't just float away, you'd be killing that shit too.
Thank you. Florida needed me.
Yeah.
Inside of her.
I have officially hit the sweet spot in going back to the gym. It's all downhill from here.
Oh. You're no longer like really, really sore? every day?
No. I actually deal with muscle soreness very well. Like, I don't know, just naturally I do. I don't get that sore. But I'm at the point where I've hit the, starting to see the reduction in fatty. Your muscles are growing, but also like now you have to really try to get any better. And so that's the not fun part. Now I can't just go to the gym for an hour. It has to be like longer.
Well,
I'm at the point where like the energy is up. And so I don't know.
Well, good.
This is usually when I stop going.
I mean, they probably have a whole entire floor they need to get rid of in your job right now,
Yeah.
right? So you have to
Yeah.
super commit. Did you buy another printer? I know you were trying to get like 47 of those things.
I mean, I did. Remember when you were in the store, I was like, I'm going to buy another printer,
You got it.
And then nobody said anything? Yeah, I bought that.
Nice. You have what, 3 now? And then 4? 5? Oh, man.
Oh my god.
Well done.
I also have 2 cleaners. So 2 machines that just clean the prints.
Uh-huh. Is that like
have you noticed? Go
a
ahead.
meth lab? Like after a certain amount of time, you're going to actually explode.
I think a
and run out
meth
of there
lab
on
would
fire.
take up less space and also put off less fumes than my
It will
garage.
certainly make much more money.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a significant uptick in your electric bill?
I don't pay the electric bill.
So no, got it.
I have not. I commonly print things for my roommate to make up for the electrics.
Is it actually that much? I mean,
It shouldn't be. I actually have it calculated in my spreadsheet, but the resin printers really don't use that much electricity. It's the plastic ones that burn through electricity because they have to heat like an 18-inch wide metal plate to 60 Celsius, which is not cold.
okay. How was Deadpool Wolverine? Good? Bad? What do you think? Just
Very good. I liked it.
okay.
Have you not seen it yet?
Dude, I've been in Florida.
They don't have movie theaters in Florida?
They do,
Interesting.
but
Now, I understand that that'd be a whole ordeal because you'd have to find some random poor clerk that has nothing to do with the situation and berate him for being alive.
I'm pretty sure at the end of that conversation, just as a follow-up on that, dear listeners, I said it was my fault. Jesus Christ.
Oh, don't worry. At every moment of your story, everyone was aware it was your fault.
Yeah.
I've had many people talk to me directly about that. It's like, why is Jeremy a terrible person?
Because of change, and I'm old.
Yeah, several people walked up to me over the weekend and were like, so I listened to Jeremy's movie story. And I was like, yeah. It's like, he's just the bad guy, right? And we're like, yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, the whole time he was talking, it's like, all right, at some point he's going to say something that's going to explain his behavior beyond I'm an asshole.
No.
And so that was the end of the story.
Yeah, the baseline is I got upset, and yeah. Sorry.
Jeremy, you remember Breaking Bad when like Walter just becomes the villain at some point?
Yeah.
It's just kind of through osmosis, and you're like, oh shit, he's the bad guy.
Yep.
That was your story.
It was. Yeah, at no point was I trying to let people know that the world had fucked up. Nope, just me.
Hey Jeremy, can you do me a favor?
What's that?
Can you stop watching wrestling?
Okay, I don't know where it's going, but I guess.
How far are you into Elden Ring?
I don't know.
Did you beat the boss yet?
I did. I beat that guy.
Oh, so now you're allowed to play the thing you purchased?
Yes. Yeah. The download content will kick the absolute shit out of me. And what I've decided to do is take my knowledge and skill set now and go back and just dominate the first part of the game and then come back.
So you're not even in the DLC now?
No, I went back to the other part of the game, yeah.
You went back to the normal game?
Uh-huh.
The baby game for babies?
I guess. If you want, it's shit, man. Whatevs. Oh, boy. Who's that guy?
Well, I guess we're going to have to stop all of our recordings since Parker's now randomly talking without being recorded. Well, I called you 4 times, so... Yeah, I called you on your phone on Messenger, Discord, and regular telephone.
And I'm the bad guy? Really?
It's his natural state to not answer his phone for any reason. So he didn't even consider that was not normal.
Sorry, guys. I was pooping.
Interesting, because Discord said you were playing Destiny 2 during the entire time. Mm-hmm. I bet it was. And there was someone playing it. And they didn't give a care about podcasting.
Riveting.
So you're wanting to join the podcast? All right. So anyway, Elden Ring.
Yep. Elden Ring. It's one of those like skill sets of playing the game. Some people are so good and I'm not good. So I really think it's a beautiful game. It's got a great, cool storyline. I suck.
I'm working on our ASMR. Can you guys hear this?
What? Oh, that. Barks, it has bite.
All right. Yeah, it is Barks.
Yep.
All right. Take 23. Go.
This time with more Parker.
More
47 minutes later.
More
there was
juicy.
an episode.
Episode.
We were just talking about how Jeremy is a world villain. And has
World
become
villain.
famous,
Yeah.
infamous, you might say,
Yes.
about just being the worst customer ever to people that work at movie theaters. And friend of the show, Colin from Muse, who works at a movie theater, was not happy with your behavior, sir. He said he was, in fact, triggered. He's like, you know how many people like Jeremy I have to put up with? It's the worst.
Yeah, because they pull bullshit. Anyway, dear listeners, Colin's not the only one that's ever worked in a movie theater. I worked at a theater for about 7 years. So, as
yeah,
it
but you
is-
never had to deal with people buying tickets online, though.
No, I didn't, and that's why it's
Because you
horseshit.
did it before the internet.
Absolutely, dude. I recorded the classic like Grumpy Old Men 2 at
Welcome
7
to
p.m.
Movie Phone.
Yeah.
Dial 9.
I had to do that. Yeah. I also had to do the tickets where they go thunk 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 thunk.
Yeah, the dot matrix print tickets.
Yeah, to climb the sign and actually change letters and all that. It was something, man. But
Back when it was actually movies and not just watching the internet in a room.
pretty much. Oh my god. Yeah, climbing the sign and changing letters and all that stuff. That job was amazing though. Like working in a movie theater was amazing.
Well, yeah, because you had to watch free movies. You got like free movies concessions.
Yep.
Felt like you were on top of the world.
I got so many nachos with so much cheese. It was
So much cheese.
It was great.
All right, Jeremy, this is your opportunity. This is your platform. Would you like to apologize to Ted from Movies 1 or wherever the fuck you went to see this movie?
Dear Ted, I did my best that day, and if it's just, hey, you were getting paid. Sorry. I've worked at restaurants a very long time. Sorry.
I feel like this is the opportune moment to say that losers whine about their best.
Yeah.
Seems like apt foreshadowing.
Yeah. Whatevs.
Parker, we're doing Nick Cage movies this week. You have exactly 18 seconds to come up with your 3.
Deal. Got it.
Aaron, you do anything fun? You still painting minis?
Nope. I finished my Asgard yesterday and varnished them today, so we have every mini I intend to paint in my house is painted.
Wow. When do you start on Kenny's?
Whenever he wants to pay me for them.
God.
I'm now going through my office and trying to decide what of my old minis and games I need to give away or eBay or not include in my house anymore.
Ooh. So I've got a little story. My air conditioner has been jacked up for a while. It's been jacked up all summer. And I put something in May. I was like, hey, this isn't working. Someone come look at it. Someone came, looked at it. And they're like, yep, you need an air conditioner. We can't get Freon anymore for that machine. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So you guys will fix that eventually. Yeah, I got to check with the owner. I haven't heard anything until I mentioned, like, I sent another request to my apartment place. And it was like, hey, nobody has followed up. What do you guys plan on doing about that? Like, it's still jacked up. A week after that, I get a response. Hey, I'm going to come out and replace the air conditioner and all the stuff. When's a good time? So with my place, they don't have a key. So I just say, dude, the door's open. Just fucking come in and fix it. I'm at work, whatever. He's like, okay, cool. So, what day was it? 2 days ago, I get up in the morning. I come downstairs after showering, after getting ready for work. My entire garage is in my living room. Just in my living room. And it's like 8 a.m. And I was like, holy fuck. I look out in my garage, and to get in that door, all of these things had to be carried around my vehicle, which is in my garage like a puzzle piece.
You have a tiny garage.
Yeah.
I can't believe. Yeah.
A Christmas tree, all my golf clubs, everything.
There's like 18 inches of clearance all the way around his car.
Oh,
like
there's
no
nothing.
extra room in there. Yeah.
So
And it's not because there's stuff in it. It's just a tiny garage, and then there's also stuff in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't have storage. So, like, holy shit. So I put my shoes on. I end up going outside, and here comes the guy. He's like, oh, hey, good morning. I'm like, yeah, good morning. He's like, I put all that stuff in the living room. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And in my head, I'm like, dude, this guy was doing all this stuff, and I had no idea. I didn't wake up. I didn't, like, this had to have taken like an hour. So I'm pulling out and leaving, and then I realize he had pulled all that shit around my car. I slam on my brakes, get out, and I'm like looking around my car. I'm like, there's no way you fucked up I bet you fucked up my brand new car. No, he did it. Then I come home that evening. It's still in my fucking living room and everything. He fixed the air conditioning.
You thought he was going to put it back?
What? That's where he got it. Yeah, so anyway, if
Jeremy's
anyone...
becoming world villain number 2.
Yeah. If anyone is wanting to break into a place, take all my shit and leave without me waking up, this is the place. Just do it. Like,
you'd be amazed how easy it is to break into somebody's house.
Especially when the door's unlocked.
Especially, yeah, I was about to say.
I was like, this fucking 22-year-old air conditioner guy basically took all of my garage, put it in my living room, and I wasn't even stirred.
Yeah. And crawled around in your crawl space, like, by your bedroom, and you're like, you had no idea.
No idea. No. Yeah, so that happened the other day. That was crazy. I didn't yell at him or nothing. I don't even know. I should have, probably.
Should have yelled at the guy.
Probably should have yelled at the dude.
Beyond to fix my air conditioner.
Of course it's not okay. Who the fuck are you? Threw something at him, you know.
Oh, boy. Parker, do you have a comic corner?
Oh, yeah. I actually like this comic corner a bunch.
So I'm the only one on here that's actually seen Deadpool, right? Because you guys
Yes.
suck.
I could not see Deadpool yet.
Want to go see it again? We'll go see it. I'll go see it with you.
I mean, yeah, if you buy my ticket, I'll go.
I
You're
just
really
happen to have.
tickets for movies.
I have 4 tickets to movies.
I only go to 4DXK. I don't know what that is, but that's all.
I don't know what it is, but everybody's been talking about
it. I have to drive an hour and a half into the country to get to one of these theaters. It's really just like they do a puppet show, like a shadow show,
Oh my
like
God.
hand puppets, and they recreate movies that way. That's 4DXK.
What I've heard is a Siegfried and Roy-esque experience.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Parker didn't realize that we were sitting right in front of one of the magicians in Vegas?
Mm.
Yeah, to this day, I was so fooled.
I thought you were fucking with us.
I did
There's
too.
no way you're that dense.
Look at that guy.
I don't
I go,
think
yeah, that's Penn Jillette. And you're like, no, that's just a random jazz guitarist. I'm like,
was a
what?
bassist. He was playing the bass.
Yeah, he was playing a bass. I was like, that's Penn. And he's like, no, it's not. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's obviously Penn. Like, the dude is pretty identifiable. He's like 6'7".
Somehow, I couldn't live in a universe in which Penn was also like a professional bassist. Like, I could not, like, those two things could not exist at the same time. I don't know what it was about it, and I was so sure.
Because commonly stage performers are really just in a box. They can't do anything else.
He also juggles.
I did not understand what
What?
I didn't understand what a virtuoso he was. I did not understand.
I was like, I can't. I think what I said was, I will literally bet you any amount of money, 10-1, that is Penn Jillette. I was like, I'll put $10 million on the line. I will go into debt for Beyond My Natural Life to prove to you this is Penn Jillette.
That was pretty funny.
I'm not even going to try to defend myself because I was so 100% sure.
We were 12 feet away from the man. Like, it was not like I know it says we were on stage. We're in the third row on the flank. Like, we were right there.
He was wearing like a fedora, just chilling on the bass.
7 foot tall, ponytail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why
Painted fingernails.
And the thought
We
was, I
could've-
kept running through my head was, why would he be playing the bass to intro his
'Cause
own
he
show?
Does this
likes
guy not
playing
make enough
the
money?
bass.
Yeah, I was just like,
He's
this doesn't
got a
make
hat on the
any
ground.
sense.
Like, I need
Why does
the
he have
tips.
so many jobs?
The best part, we were so close to him, he probably heard every fucking word we said.
Oh,
The
there
whole time
there
going-
wasn't a lot of words. It was a few words, a lot of gasps, and a lot of laughter. You guys were guffawing for like 5 minutes straight as I was just sat there agog, sure I was right.
It was good. That was good. That was one of the best parts.
Yeah, that was.
We need to come up with a code word that's like, all right, cut the shit, we're being serious. Like, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to admit that you're wrong.
Yeah,
It's like you're being an asshole right now, right?
and
No,
not for nothing. It was you guys. So I'm like, I think they're trying to play me for suckers. Like, I can't trust you either.
You would have walked in front of a bus at that moment. Like, Parker, don't. It's not our right of way. You'll get hit by a car. He's like, nah, and just walks into traffic.
I had to hold my ground in that moment because you were calling me a liar. I couldn't imagine it was possible. And I can't trust you like that. That's exactly the
I
kind of
can't
lie
trust you.
that you would tell.
What?
But, like, to what end? Like, what? We walked off the stage, you're like, yep, I guess that was him. Like,
Yeah. That kind of shit is exactly what you would do just to fuck with me. And so I knew it was possible.
Not 3 times.
It was a perfect
Never
impasse.
thrice.
Like you said, in that moment, were there actual like stakes? I would have walked into the bus. I would have been like, well,
yeah.
I guess I have to walk across this street blind
Mhm.
and we'll find out if they were telling the truth. Luckily, there were no stakes and we just laughed our asses off.
You didn't even believe it when, like, he got up to leave.
No.
You're like, he must just, because the guy playing piano was like, oh, my partner's got to go do something.
Yeah.
You're like, I wonder what he has to go do. And I'm like, he's getting ready for the fucking show. Like,
And it wasn't until you guys just wouldn't stop that I was like, I guess maybe that was him. And then,
It really.
and then
it
that's
wasn't.
when the laughter
We
started.
were so close. Like that's the best part.
Yeah.
We were so
Yeah.
close. It was like what 4 rows back or something stupid.
yeah. I could have read a business card, like, on his lapel. We were that close. Like,
Oh man.
Worth every penny, that show. Worth
Yeah.
every penny.
that was a fun show.
Yeah.
I had already seen a bunch of those tricks, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I'd never seen him. I'd never seen them live. I don't even know if I've only watched like their show even a couple times. Like the
Tricks are
television
what
show they
whores do for money, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
goldfish trick they
Well-
did, honestly, still, it just blows my mind.
I'm pretty sure I know how they do it, but it's still a beautiful trick to
Yeah,
watch.
it's-
Yeah, it's one of the
Just
most famous
such a
tricks.
cool-
That's one of the ones I knew.
Yeah.
But I think it's also one of the more simple ones they do. The one that always gets me is, I think it's the bobby pins, and again, they're all like simple because like there's only so many ways you can do these kinds of tricks. But the one where it's pins on the string, that one's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it when they do like the cup and ball trick where they do like the transparent cups.
Mhm.
That one's funny.
Yeah, it was like just seeing the goldfish one in person and how beautiful of a trick that was, and just breathtaking. Like that whole like
Yeah.
setup and then execution was just breathtaking.
The crazy thing to me is, so tricks like that, usually like the big time stage magician stuff, there's really only like a 15-degree angle the trick works at. But
Yeah.
like they're doing it in front of a live audience. Like it's totally different when you have to like have 180 degrees of vision on what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Mhm.
Did you guys ever see the live trick they did on, God, what was it? Letterman, I think, where they did the hold your breath like confined escape thing with Teller in the box.
No.
I'll send a clip of it to you. It's pretty funny. But it's one of the first things they ever did on like national television.
Honestly, I knew I was going to love the show from moment one when they just started telling out, like they started like a B reel of all their like greatest hits of tricks, and it was all just
Yeah.
lies. It's just like
Yeah.
lie after lie after lie of all the
They
things
did
they
that.
just like they did this and then this. You're like, what?
I forgot about that.
No, they didn't. It was just a series of lies about tricks they never
Yeah.
done. I was like, I knew this is going to be wonderful. Whenever that's how they started the show, was just lying profusely about tricks they had never performed.
Did you ever see the clip of the Amazing Jonathan when he was in Vegas? And like he first comes out and he's like walking onto the stage. He's like, Well, today we have a very special guest, everybody, and I want you to help me welcome Mr. David Copperfield. He gestures up at the balcony, and the spotlights all go, and it's just an empty platform. And then it scrolls back to Jonathan. He's like, "Fuck David Copperfield, you're here to see me." It's like it's the ultimate fake out, and everybody's like, then they feel bad for clapping, but then they're like, "But that was 100% your fault." Like, so they just sets up the show so well of what you're in for.
Yeah, that dude was at the center of the cocaine rush.
Yeah. Have you seen the documentary, The Amazing Jonathan?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god, that is
very interesting.
If you love cringe humor, man, you will love that show. That is some dark shit in there.
Is he still alive? Because it seems like he shouldn't be alive.
He is one of those guys that lives on borrowed time.
Okay.
Like all of his minutes are stolen.
Well, yeah, I mean, he said he's dying.
Pickpocketed.
Then he said, they're like, "You're not dying." And he's like, "I don't want to talk about it." You're like, "What? What is happening?"
I'm not here to talk about my health.
Yeah, it's just...
You're like, what? Yeah. Oh, man. That guy's different.
Yeah.
He's so funny, though. Okay, let's get into this week's Mojo World. We have Nicolas Cage movies.
And we're 100% sure we haven't done Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, there's only an 80% chance we've done this.
Yeah,
before.
I don't know. I was thinking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we've just named a lot of these movies in action movies before. I don't remember. Anyway. All right, starting off this week, we have Jeremy. Jeremy, what's your favorite Nicolas Cage
movie? Nicolas Cage movie all time. It's one of his more touching ones. I like Family Man. It's just a wonderful Christmas feel-good movie. I like it.
Family Man.
Yep,
I've never seen that one.
I'll give you guys the other ones. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this is a tough one because the good ones are few and far between.
Yeah, there's only a handful. You all can have them.
This would be like the Schwarzenegger movies. After 8, you're like, "Ooh, this is getting real dodgy." Some of these movies are.
Did
really
I actually
bad.
like this? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We'll go with Con Air.
Can't go wrong there.
I like Con Air a lot.
It's
got the right amount of knows what you're about.
And it's got John Malkovich, dude. He gets you're good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Next up is Aaron.
We're gonna take National Treasure.
I knew that was coming.
That's solid.
All right, Parker, you got back-to-backs.
I'm gonna take my favorite Nick Cage movie by far, The Rock. I love The Rock so much. I actually have seen that. That's one of the movies I can quote line for line. I get really close.
But does he like his hair?
I watched it a lot when I was a kid, but I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
I've watched it since I'm an adult, and it was just wonderful. Just glee the whole time. I just want to find some rockets.
Yep.
I definitely should rewatch it.
Yeah. My second one is going to be, he's a bit part, but the movie's wonderful, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That was on my list. All right. Aaron, take 2.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
That was on my list.
Oops.
I actually named that one recently.
Well, good news is I'm out, so I don't know what the fuck I'm going to choose for 3.
National Treasure 2. National Treasure
If it gets
3.
back to me, I can only hope.
No, don't worry. You're not taking too many of those from you. All right. I can't believe this made it back around. I'm going with Lord of War. I love that movie.
That is
That's
a good
really
one.
Fun.
Oh, that's on my list. You got one. I like that movie a lot.
All right, Jeremy, rounding out your picks.
Another one I love, but I can't watch it. It's so cringy. Leaving Las Vegas. I really like that movie, but I shouldn't.
Leaving? I haven't seen that.
I have. It's good.
Don't watch it when you're single on Valentine's Day. That might be the last thing you do.
I say it's good. I can remember it very vividly. I just remember as a kid, I definitely saw it more than once.
A friend of mine used to say that the saddest movie he'd ever seen was The Joy Luck Club, which is just this really depressing movie about an Asian family living in America, and it's super depressing. And so he's like, if you ever put that on in a room with a gun, that's considered murder. like whoever you leave alone in that room is like what you did was on purpose. All right, what's your final pick?
Is it mine?
That's generally how it goes.
Oh.
We've only done this, like 180 times.
I don't know, man.
Well, you were gone for most of those.
It's true. I can't find it here. I can't remember the name of it. It's
Describe it.
The kids are superheroes, and he is the dad of the girl, and there's two of them.
Aww.
What is that called?
That was the next one on my list. I'll give it to you. It's Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass, yes.
Oh, you were describing this very weird. Kick-Ass is also on my list.
Yeah, Kick-Ass. I love him in that.
He's Big Daddy.
Yep, yeah. Big Daddy. There you go.
Yeah.
Kick-Ass has probably my favorite superhero ending for a movie, which is like he shows up in a jetpack with Gatling guns and kills everything. I'm just like, I remember just laughing so hard, just like that's wonderful. Like no suspense, no big drama, just Gatling guns, just.
I just love when he's training his daughter or whatever. It's just so fucking crazy.
Yeah,
just shoots her point blank.
Yeah.
That comic book is also amazing. I own the comic. Yeah, the comic book is great.
All right. Well, that makes my next pick easier because it was going to be hard between that and Face Off. I got Face Off.
You did get Face Off. That also includes John Travolta, so you get 2 points for that.
That's true. There's double points for extra cheesiness.
If you could get a Battlefield Earth following, then yeah, you'll get it.
I don't know how those two weren't in more movies because they're like the same fucking actor. They're both just really weird. Like they could be great or terrible, just depends. All right, Aaron, you're up.
Sorry, bud.
Okay. I have perused the 464 other movies Cage was in, and I have only seen one.
Was it good,
so
though?
It's better than Face Off, which I thought I was going to have to pick. So,
woohoo!
Thank you for saving me for that piece of shit. It's National Treasure 2.
You did it.
Long Kiss Goodnight.
I love the setup because we knew what it was going to be for so long, and he's like,
"Wait, Long Kiss Goodnight?"
Yeah.
No,
is that with Gina Davis?
That's Gina Davis.
It's Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he's not
Cage
in
is not in that.
No. What is it called? It's
You're fucking crazy.
I like Long Kiss Goodnight. That was a good movie.
Long Kiss Goodnight's amazing.
It is.
All right, Parker, you're up.
It doesn't matter. I haven't seen it. Yeah. I went through every other film he's been in.
Kiss of Death. I was thinking Kiss of Death. Sorry.
I still haven't seen it.
One of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and it does hold up, is Matchstick Men. I really like Matchstick Men.
They were like con artists, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Ridley Scott directed it. It's really, really good, and Sam Rockwell plays his another confidence man. He's learning from.
Sam Rockwell.
It's kind of one of those they're partially in control of what's going on, but it's also partially fate working out for them, and it's a web of deceit, but also just kind of luck. It's fun.
I can't remember what movie we were watching with Sam Rockwell in it, but it was the first time I really realized who he was. And watching him, this guy looks really familiar. Like, hey, Sam Rockwell. I was like, what else has he been in? He starts naming all the stuff he's been in. I'm like, I haven't seen any of that shit. And where he's from is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Mm-hmm. He's one of the head ninjas at their headquarters.
That's where it started.
You're fucking insane. There's no way that's correct. And we look it up, and I go to the scene that he's in. I'm like, this is him. And he's like, son of a bitch, that is Sam Rockwell.
That's where they have all the video games.
Yeah, that's where they recruit all the new kids. Yeah. My honorable mention is Raising Arizona.
Good.
I wanted to get that one in there, but you guys didn't take enough of my other picks. I also like the movie Next. It's really weird, mostly because I think he's 30 years older than his love interest in the movie, but it's just randomly he can see the future. It's that they don't explain it ever. Huh. He's just a magician that can see the future. And other than that, the movie's great, but it's just really weird.
Is that the one where he can see so much, like 7 minutes into the future?
He can see 2 minutes into the future, but except for two things that he's ever seen further than that is the day he meets the love interest, which is Jessica Biel, I believe, and he meets her in a diner, and the other thing he sees is a nuclear explosion going off in LA, and so the whole movie he's trying to figure out if he can stop it or not, and then it kind of evolves from there. Anybody else have any honorable mentions?
You got
the Wicker Man is the bees, right? That's the one everybody quotes.
I don't know. I never saw it. There's so many that I've never seen that he's in, and there's a few.
He did one where he was like a witch hunter.
Yeah, I think it's called Witch Hunter. I mean, honestly, it's called something like that.
Fucking on the nose, man. I like this. This is a good list. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and get into it.